Hi, my name is Clive. I'm 40 this year and I'm working in finance.
And I'm Jessie, I'm 35 this year, also in finance industry.
And this is our reno journey. I think me and my wife have a very unique problem. We really don't know what we want or what we're looking for when it comes to selecting a theme for our house. The second thing on our minds is that we're actually very mindful about finding a trustworthy ID and someone who can actually deliver within a tight deadline. We decided to go on to some portals. We met four or five different IDs. We sat down, we gave them the floor plan. We didn't have a clear picture, but we kind of told them what we want because I have 2 kids and my in-laws are staying with me. There are 8 people staying in the house. So certain constraints like that. And through that meeting, I thought that we were going to get some sort of a feedback in the process, try to figure out what we really wanted. But I think we always left the meeting with
square one again.
Yeah,
what we want. Confused state again.
Sometimes the design that came back to us or the design philosophy really didn't really tie into what we were telling them in the first place. So we thought that, is this really just a process, or maybe we weren't heard, or we really just don't know what we want. This process took quite some time finding an idea, and we were drawing so close to the day where we have to collect the keys, right? Because we have to move in at a certain time. So getting a little bit worrying. So that was when I think you stumbled upon Classic Furniture.
How I know Classic Furniture is actually through one of my friends who has just recently renovated their place. And we actually went to their housewarming and we realized that their carpentry work is very well done, right? So we actually asked them, who's their ID and all, and they recommended Classic Furniture. Midway through our renovation process, one of my aunt actually texted me saying, "Hey, are you using Classic Furniture as well?" That's how we know that they have been Classic Furniture's long-time client about 20-30 years ago.
Before we decided to engage them, I had to of course do my own QC, right? That was when I realized that they have their own in-house carpentry workshop, which to me was a point that actually stood out because the major things in the house is actually going to be your carpentry. And to be able to meet a tight deadline, to be able to customize the carpentry, for example, these things are the things that usually take a long time. After hearing about this, we decided to check out Classic Furniture. And when we spoke to them, I think the vibes were quite different from the IDs. They started asking us questions, right? Like, what is our daily routine? What do we do? How many kids do we have? What are the space requirements? In the future, for example, do you need to change the configuration of your house to cater to having additional space? All these questions were quite relevant, which we didn't really get when we spoke to the other IDs, unfortunately, right? Just because of this, I think it gave me a sense that, these guys are actually genuinely caring about how to design the house around us, right? And I think through this process, the design became clearer to us in terms of the color theme or the palette. They showed us some colors and they gave us some renderings and it sat well with us. I think one thing that our ID is really good at was the choosing of the colors. Was like a color connoisseur, right? I think all the colors just blended really nicely and they knew what we want. We don't know what we want, but they knew what we want.
And we are not very practical people, right? So whatever we want, sometimes it doesn't make sense and they will say no. It doesn't make sense. Why not try something else? Yeah,
it's a balance between functionality and aesthetics of what we want to have. Those are things that is very important to us, for someone to guide us through this entire process. Having gone through the renovation process, I have to say, it was quite a long journey because there were a lot of discussions. But I think they were very meticulous in carrying out this or executing this entire project. So they were very willing to listen to the changes that we wanted to make and also propose their own changes from a functional perspective. When we text them, it's like we got a reply. And when we have certain concerns, we wanted to meet them. They were very willing to, come, let's have a meeting, let's do this. They're very responsive, right? So that gave us a lot of assurance, but no complaints. They still carry out the work very professionally. So I think this whole journey was very well managed, especially when I think we were also quite busy. We didn't really have much time, so a lot of the decisions had to be made very fast. So a lot of times, I think it comes down to the experience that Classic Furniture has as well, to be able to foresee certain things, to be able to prevent delays, for example. I think all these is really necessary, and they do it in a way where you don't feel like they're forcing you for an answer. It becomes very natural, which is what we like. So I think the chemistry that we had with them was quite different from what we had with the other people that we have spoken to as well. I think at the end of the day, we are very thankful, very grateful to Classic Furniture for turning this house into a home. This is our first house, and we couldn't be happier with the result. So thank you so much, Classic Furniture.